So I'll take you through three main things. The first one is go through the agenda of the day, what is going to happen, to give you the best awareness of how is the event and how you can limit and take advantage from that. Then the second part will be about the presentation, the pitch. We will give you a copy of the standard format, and we will go through directly one-to-one in the next 3 weeks. But we will see the presentation today. And then the third part is about what you can do in these weeks to be better prepared beyond the presentation, because it's not just a question of preparing a nice speech. Okay, so this is the agenda of the 18th of October. The day agenda and the final networking event. The event itself will start with an opening dinner the night before, but it's only for international investors, the corporate partners, and the speakers. You are not invited to this part. I'm sorry, but unfortunately it's a first starting point of the event. It cannot be too big because it's done to have the investors coming before, and but you will be part of all the agenda of the 18th and especially the final networking event. But what is important, you have to be the 17th in Milan from mid-morning to the afternoon, because we have to try the presentation at the site. This is very important because it's a show. Everything has to be perfect. You have to know where we're doing the pitch, which kind of instrumentation we have. And it's really very useful. We've seen pitches really changing from totally ineffective to be spot on, and companies raising money in a couple of months. So it's very important that everyone comes on the 17th at Il Sole 24 Ore, the main financial newspaper in Italy, here in Milan. Well, we have the auditorium and we can see everything and try everything. So probably the companies that are based in Milan would be better if we do the rehearsal in the morning. The other companies, they might need to come after lunch. We will have organized lots, so you don't have to stay there all day. You come, you try the presentation, and then you can leave. But you have to be in Milan the day before. So, as you see, this is the agenda of the day. The most important part of the agenda is your pitch. We try to reduce talks around that as much as possible. This year we have 3 panels. 2 of them are between international investors. It's also a way to do more marketing and having more investors coming. We generally, we've always done the presentation in alphabetic order of the company, so we will do these first 2 sections in the morning of the scale-up section, and then we'll have the earlier stage fintech, insurtech, and later stage in early afternoon. And then, very important, this part of the one-to-one session, but it's the second part of the afternoon. We organize it asking to bring the funds that will come to declare the interest in meeting the companies. But then when we are in that day, we'll try to organize as more one-to-one meetings as possible, trying to give you as more opportunities as possible. Another thing is that apart from that part of the day, we will also organize one-to-ones during the other part of the day without excluding the pitching session. So when you are pitching, we want all the people to be in the room. But beyond that, during the other part of the day, we will try to organize one-to-one meetings. Also, because some of the investors might leave in the afternoon here. Although this year we've done a co-marketing agreement with the most important club in Italy called New Start. They have an event the day after, so we'll have probably more fun staying and doing all the day till the end, and also the final networking event. Then, questions about this? Okay. So let's go on to the presentation. Yeah, no, sorry. This is the situation as of today of the funds.
Are you sending the presentation for the last?
Yeah, yeah. This is the situation as of today of the funds that are registered for the event. We never had such a long list, I must say. We've had a long list, but not that long. These are all the international funds that have registered. We will try to do our best to have most of them coming, because we know that some of them might decide in these 3 weeks not to come. And at the same time, we'll try our best to have more funds coming. But this is the picture as of this morning. It's 41 international VC funds coming mostly from Europe, but there is, for example, Arbor Ventures, but it's a $180 million fund based in Southeast Asia. They also specialize in the fintech area. And we have Inside Venture Partners, which is the most important American investor in Europe. All the other funds are coming from Europe. As you know, we have also the most important local investors, Italian investors, which for the Italian company, you should probably know most of them. But for the company coming from outside of Italy, it's an additional opportunity, also because the trend of investing internationally is taking everyone, and also quite a few Italian funds are investing outside Italy. So it's an additional opportunity, especially for the ones that are not based in Italy. And it's an additional opportunity also for the ones based in Italy, because we have seen also in the past that after doing a very effective presentation, funds that hadn't considered investment in a local company, they decided to do it after the event. So these are all potential targets. At the event as well, there will be corporate partners, and this is the list. This can be for you an opportunity to develop a business, or an opportunity to have services and support. This is a picture of where we will be doing the event, where you will be pitching, where we will be doing the presentation. It's a big auditorium. It's quite impressive. You will have people right in front of you, like having a wall of people in front of you. It's more steep than it looks like in this picture. The stage is huge. It's 90 meters by 8 meters. We'll try to fill it somehow. So you will have the opportunity to move quite a bit around it. It's like a theater. It's a very nice place. And outside there will be all the networking area, and we will organize the one-to-one area in 2 boxes that are in the hall outside. And instead, this is the beautiful location of the final networking event, which will be at Terrazza Martini from 8 o'clock in the evening, which will be an additional opportunity beyond the coffee break, beyond the lunch time, to do networking and try to meet informally with the funds. But it's important the fact that beyond the presentation, we really try to have as more effective one-to-one meetings between you and the investors. You will have 20 minutes for each meeting, and it's important to meet the right investors and to have the meetings prepared. So let's go through the guidelines. Yeah.
Sorry, one question. So For the meetings, do we have an ability to do sending them emails so that we can, or you have an app or something so we can like pre-schedule them, or we will just schedule them at the event? Sorry, I didn't understand this. The investor meetings.
We have discussed, and we will probably go on discussing about the opportunity to have an app to manage the one-to-one meetings. We are a very specific type of event. It's a pitching event, and it's done to make you meeting the investors. So for this year too, we decided not to have an app. The problem with an app is that there are many other people who can meet other investors, for example, and distract investors from meeting you. So we want to avoid this, and we want as more as possible to be the one who manages the organization of the meetings with you to be sure that the investors are meeting companies and that you are meeting investors. So how do we organize this? To all the registered funds, we ask approximately 10 days before the event to tell us which companies, before coming to the event, they want to meet. And some companies are fully booked with the one-to-one session before the event. But at the same time, funds have the opportunity to book the one-to-one during the event. On the other side, you know the funds that are going to attend, and we will update you on this. You can, if you think that the fund has a specific reason to be interested in your company, you tell us, and we try to organize the meetings between you and the investor. So we leave the first opportunity to funds, but you have the opportunity to say, okay, I'm in the food tech space, this fund invest in my sector, I should meet this investor, and we will organize the meeting. As you know, because I know that some of you have been already contacted by some of the funds that are attending the event, so luckily some of the funds are contacting you before, so this might happen also in the next few weeks. Did I answer to your question, Benedetta?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Lorenzo?
Yeah, so I was just wondering if you were going to get some kind of information of the funds, because that would be who is attending. Because I assume that within these big funds, there's a guy in charge of biotech, in charge of IBD, so that we can do our homework and understand.
Sure. We will send you a list of people for these funds, so you're going to know who's attending, and yeah, let's.
Are you going to provide the funds with material on the startup, like SoftBank or something?
No. Yeah, you remember that we worked quite a bit to define a summary of your company right after the selection, from the end of July till beginning of September. What we've done, we've sent the link to download the summary, not only to the funds that are registered here, not only to this, but also to our network of 250 plus international VC funds. So another thing that might happen is that there are funds that are not going to attend the event, but they will contact you. And these people have already the information if they downloaded the summary of your company summary. We don't send the pitches before for two reasons. One, there is a lot of information that we cannot send, and the other one, we want to have them coming to the event physically and then facilitating the meeting with you. Okay. So going forward to the presentation. You have 8 minutes, which is, for someone, it's a lot, but for someone else is really a very short amount of time. You cannot say anything about the company, you have to select few things and present in the clearest and more synthetic way. We will do one-to-one with you to prepare the presentation. We generally don't like to see more than 20, 25 slides in 8 minutes. It's probably the maximum that you can do to be in time. Don't write too much in the presentation. Write as less as possible. Use big capital letters. Try to use images, video, chart as more as possible. Lorenzo asked me before, I want to know which type of person is going to be physically at the event. This is important, but also not so essential, because all these funds, most of them are generalistic. They do anything in the digital and software space, which is the big part of the market. They're going to send 1 or 2 people to Milan, and these people are not going to represent the knowledge of these funds in all the different sectors, while you come from a specific one. So it might be that the people attending there are not people that know your business well. And in general, generally speaking, investors invest in several different sectors, and the person that knows better this sector are you, and not the investors generally. So when you speak, when you do a presentation, when you do a pitch, you should do everything thinking that your counterpart doesn't know well what you're talking about. So you have to be really very clear in the first 30 seconds to explain what you're doing. If you're not able to explain in the first 30 seconds what you're doing, you're most likely gonna miss him or her. So the attention of the audience is gone. And it's very difficult to recover this attention. You might recover the attention in the middle of the presentation when you say something nice, interesting, but the person has lost the first part of understanding what you do. So the first 30 seconds, they have to understand what you are bloody doing. So go straight to the point. We are doing this. And try to do it in the most simple way that anyone can understand it. So also, when you try a presentation, if you try it also in front of people outside your company that don't know your business and they understand it, that it's a good way to exercise. So the first thing for the investor is understanding what you do. Then the second thing is, why should I go on keeping attention to this presentation? And the only way you make him or her staying there connected is showing that you are a terrific investment opportunity. The sooner they understand that you are a terrific investment opportunity, and the longer you will have the attention of the audience. So after you've said what you do, show the numbers, show the opportunity, which means the milestone reach, the growth you had, the market potential. Don't wait the last part of the presentation to talk about this, because that is what is going to give you the attention from the other part of the presentation. Another important thing, we are in front of funds that are investing in companies that can really become huge companies. Most of these funds, or part of these funds, will not invest in a company if it cannot be a unicorn. There is, fortunately, another part of these funds we will be happy to invest in the company if the company can be valued some hundreds of millions. But they have to dream in listening to you. So you have to show a vision and make the listener, the investor, dreaming that if I invest on you, they can really have a great upside. we believe very much that the only way to attract international investments is to be international. And you know very well that one of the stated requirements that we put on the website openly is that companies have to have already started selling abroad at least 20% of the customer base. As you can see on the website in these days, the average of your business abroad, your home market, is 48%. So you have to stress this factor. Anything that you are telling them, that if you are starting from Greece, from Bulgaria, from Macedonia, from Italy, you have started there, but you are already tested successfully your business model in the other markets with tangible results. So these are the main suggestions. Then I can go through the whole presentation, but I'll go through very quickly because you will receive it, and then we can discuss in one-to-one in the next 3 weeks. So you start. This is a name of the company who's presenting. As we said, the first thing is show your product. Show what you do. Lots of times company uses a very short video that explains much better than words what the company is doing. What do you offer? Which problem do you solve? The benefits and the solutions. The USP. You have different type of business, so there isn't one clear answer for everyone. For sure, lots of times having a video can help. Then show that you are a great investment opportunity. This means showing what you've done so far and what you've reached in terms of milestones. And also, again, different type of companies, different type of milestones. We will try, as we've already done with the summaries, with the company summary, we will try to extract from you the best value of what you've done so far. Then the team is important. Don't leave it at the end of a presentation, because one of the first things that investors want to know if there is a team that is able to execute it by themselves and also with the new people they want to take on board. You remember the presentation of Tony? I really loved a lot what he said about two things. One, it's self-awareness, the awareness of what you know, what you have, and especially what you don't know and what you don't have, and the ability, the capability, the willingness to hire people that are better than you. This is going to be crucial, especially for all the founders that are here. This is crucial for the success of your company. Totally crucial. If you are afraid to hire people that are better than you, your company is most likely not going to go in the right direction. You don't have to be afraid. You're not perfect. No one is perfect. Everyone has to understand which are the elements that we have to put in. It's one of the things that we would like to push you to think about in the next 3 weeks. Which are the main gaps? What is missing to my company today to be a greater company tomorrow? And the fact that you have understood the gaps and you are telling the gaps to investors, this is important for them. They're not expecting to have a stellar team complete from day one, but they want to understand that you have the awareness of what you're missing and that you have a strategy to fill these gaps. You know when you are going to fill the gaps. You know the gaps that are more important. You know what you're going to do. Then the market and the competition. It's important that you show how big is the market, how is it made, and especially your position towards competition. We know that the temptation is to show that you are the best one or you are the only one in the market. Most of the times it's not that way. When you compare yourself to the other competitors, try also to show where you are not the number one. It's not nice to see these competitive charts where the analytical one, you have everything and competitors doesn't have anything. Or the chart ones where you are positioned the terrific best way and there is no one else. Also from this point of view, awareness is very important. It's the awareness to know which are the others and the strengths and the weaknesses that you have towards them. They want to know about your business model, how you make money, how you go to the final customers. Then, you know, you can talk about many things. Here we are in the space where together we have to select of the many things you can talk about during the presentation, watch what can have to be said in the 8-minute presentation and what instead we leave in the appendix, which are going to be very important for you when you do the one-to-ones. And again, the level of internationalization, we have already gone through it. And yeah, and the expansion plans. Then a chart that shows the evolution of your numbers, the past and the future. We know very well that it's very difficult to go to do a forecast beyond the next 12 months, but I invite you to do it for 3 years to show the kind of ambition and the kind of road that you can do. And then finally, the last part, probably one of the last slides of the presentation, it's about the round, telling about how much money you want to raise, basically to do what, and eventually talking about exit strategies. Are there specific questions about the presentation? Then we can go to, you know, the things that we can discuss about in the next 3 weeks.
There a Q&A?
Yeah, there is. You have 10 minutes. And how we set it, it's 8-minute presentation plus 2 minutes Q&A. Why we give 2 minutes and not 5 minutes of Q&A? The reason is that we want to give you opportunity to investors to ask questions openly with the audience. But the Q&A section of the presentation is not the place where we want to sort out all the doubts of the investors. This has to be done during the one-to-one. And it's also and the confidentiality of the kind of information that you might answer during the question. Like, for example, they ask you, what is your pre-money valuation? Don't answer to this question. That's the typical question that you say, we will talk about that during the one-to-one. And on the other side, if you go long in your presentation, the 8 minutes, you will have less time for one-to-one. We cannot go beyond the 10 minutes. The agenda of the day is really very tight, and we have to stay on time. But the idea of a Q&A is to give you opportunity to have a couple of questions. What we generally do, we prepare a question between us. So if there are no questions from the crowd, I'll ask you one question. We try to give you opportunity. If there are no questions, we leave it to a one-to-one. Other questions? As I said before, as Tony said, they don't want to see a perfect team, but they want to see that you have clear ideas of which are the main gaps and when and how you're going to fill them. For example, one thing is what I want to do before raising money or what I want to do after raising money. another thing they want to see in the long term what is going to happen. Most of the funds are investing in you in a round, but they want to, if the things go well, they want to have the opportunity to invest again in the following round. So not only you have to tell them what you're going to do with the money of this round, but when and what you want to do in the following round. The more money you raise, the more you raise the ambition of the company. This is very important. I was talking to some of you during the coffee break this morning. The internationalization strategy, which is also linked to, in general, your position towards getting the resources that you need. And for resources, I mean not only financial resources, but also people and market. So you have to take the internationalization strategy as a whole and think about which are the most important markets, where can you get the right people for you, and where can you get money. As Cosimo said, if you want to raise money from US, you have to sell to US customers. But let's put it on the other side. If you think that the US market is the most important market for you, you sell to US customers, and most likely you will have the opportunity to raise from US customers. But most of the times, the evolution that we have seen from our side is of companies that before going to US, they go to Europe. So think about in Europe, which are the most important markets for you. First of all, think about the market, but also think about the financial resources. Because, for example, France or Germany or UK are three markets where if you go and sell to the customers in these markets, you also have a big number of investors and lots of money in these markets. So it's easier for you. I mean, if you're selling a lot in France, you have to target the French investors. Don't sell to France and try to have money from Germans. I mean, before you try to have money from French people. You can go to Spain as a priority, but you have to have the awareness that in Spain there are not so many funds. There are more funds in France, Germany, UK, and the Nordics. So these things have to be linked together. And there is not one right answer for everyone. Every different business, different company has different answers. But you have to take the whole thing together. This is another very important thing. It is not easy to raise money from international VC funds, but it's more and more common, and it happens more and more. If we just take just Italy, the first half of 2018, there have been 11 investments of international VC funds in company founded by Italian, a part based in Italy, but also part based with the headquarters outside. For what we have seen, you are more likely to get money from international investors if you move the headquarters in markets or jurisdiction, because it's a question. Investors, international VC funds are doing lots of investments every year, and they don't want to study a single jurisdiction for every investment that they do. The ideal for them is to invest in one jurisdiction where they know everything, where they know how things works, and then having companies that are everywhere. Despite Brexit, what we see in the market so far in Europe, the LTD in UK, it's the #1 target holding company for international investors in Europe. While we know that in the US there's a Delaware company. I invite you all thinking about this, which doesn't mean doing it, but at least thinking about that. And also, more than thinking, trying to understand what you have to do. Some of you already have the quarter in UK or US, so you've already done this step. There might be some of you who are able to get money from international or local investors, big Series A, Series B, without the need to move in a quarter. But thinking about that, because some of the funds, the 18th of October, can ask you, have you thought about moving a quarter in London? What do you think? Do you know how it's going to take? How much money? Which are the dynamics? And if you have already gone through this, not doing it, but at least being aware of what you need to do, you are a step ahead towards other people that haven't thought about that. This evening, we have a meetup at Oric. It can be also an opportunity to talk to Attilio Mazzilli and the other partners that will be there. If you need some specific advice on this, you have a first contact tonight, and then you can have a meeting in the next few weeks to go for that. The one-to-one meetings, 2 people per company can attend the event, and I mean, both of them have to be in the one-to-one. Try to be prepared to answer to the different questions, also the most from the most technical to the more financial questions, because in the one-to-one you will go through it. As I said, in the appendix of the presentation, you have opportunity to have more detailed charts, bring all of them, because they can they probably want to go through it. And both at the pitch and also during the one-to-one, the more you are answering to the question straight to the point and in a short way, and the more you give the idea that you are efficient, and you have to give more time to investors to ask more questions. If in the one-to-one they ask you one question and it takes you 10 minutes to answer, they can only ask you 2 questions, and then the time is expired. These are basics, but sometimes we don't do it. Both for the company and for the employees, please update LinkedIn and also Crunchbase profile, because it's one of the first things that investors will do even before coming at the event. You have seen the list of funds. There might be someone that you are in contact with that is not in the list. Please tell us, and let's coordinate to push together and to have them physically at the event. Or if you know some of the funds that are in the list, it's good that, you know, we work together to try to have them as small as possible and have them coming at the event physically. Final Q&A for this morning. Okay, so let's, we have only 5 minutes late. We have 55 minutes until 2:30 of lunch break. And then we will have in the afternoon, I think, a very interesting workshop from the Blitzscaling team, Global Scaling Academy, and also the presentation from Amazon. Let's use also the lunchtime and the coffee break in the afternoon to network between us. And then, as you know, tonight from 7:30 onwards at Oric, there is the meetup. So I don't know if everyone answered, but anyway, it's an additional opportunity also to meet people like Federico Sargenti that have done the event last year. They raised 30 million and they're going through a scaling up process, and other alumni that have done the program in the previous years. Thank you.